The college football experience, Houston Cougars 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, they do have college football action. Underdog is giving away $15 million in Best Ball Mania 5. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your first time deposit offer up to $250 in cash. College football, college basketball, they got you covered. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm has the best AI picks and projections, and their college football product is about to drop. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Football experience, Houston Cougars 2024 season preview episode. I'm excited. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hop on over there. It's happy hour somewhere, folks. Get on in. I'm excited to talk about this team because they finally did something smart. All right. I think they have a very, very bright future. Going to be fun to talk all about the Houston Cougars this episode. Go through the schedule, the offense, the defense, special teams, the head coaching hire. But before we do all that, I want to tell you, you're listening to the college football experience. Yes. And my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, AKA Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about these Cougs. All right. The day of the Coug. Shout out to Max in the chat. He goes, another preview. Let's fucking go. He's also a Texas Longhorn fan, so he's excited about his Longhorns. Disgusting. I still want to review in that spot last year where Houston got the spot, and I was told that the head of the replay review was a Texas grad.
Oh, man.
That was bullshit. That was absolute bullshit.
Wait, that was the Texas game. You're right. What was it? They got down to the 10, 11 yard line?
Yes.
But they actually made it down to the 9.
Dude,
the first down was
the first. Look, there's a history of shady calls in the state of Texas. All right. Remember that SMU game we were watching? Like the guy scores it. They're playing Texas, and Texas beats SMU on a score where the guy's he's five steps out of bounds, and they're like, "No, touchdown! No, it's a touchdown!" And there's been some shady stuff out there, but that's why we're here to talk about it because look, Houston, it's time for Houston to get a little shady, and I like it. I am joined by my co-hosts. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh! Cowboy.
Yeah, man, going back to the Jack Party days. What's that?
Do you think Houston wasn't dirty before?
No, I'm just saying. They weren't as dirty as some of the other schools within the state.
That's a low bar, but probably true.
But buddy, I am super fucking excited about. Look, Dana Holgorsen hire was wild because he left at the time he had left a Big 12 team for a Group of 5 team. That doesn't happen much. But now they're all. Then he gets fired when they go P5. He gets fired. And look, I was a skeptic a little bit on him as well. Houston really hadn't. I know he had like a 12-win season, and you could argue maybe they shouldn't have fired him. Gave him another year. I think they did the right thing here. And really they haven't been really truly rolling, in my opinion, since Tom Herman. And I think this is the best hire in a while for the Cougars. There,
Tom Herman had him 13-1 year one and 9
and a 3-point loss at UConn that year.
Wow. Almost a perfect year in Houston. What was that? 2015. Dana Holgorsen in 2021, like you mentioned, gets him to 12-2, but also, like you said, 3 losing seasons in 5 years for Holgorsen. Guess that's not cutting it.
Yeah. And but let's talk before we dive in on the hire. I'm going to quickly show the photo here. How about shout out to the University of Houston for they wore these uniforms and the NFL hit them with the
cease and desist.
Yeah, and they doubled down. Houston said, "Hey, fuck you. Colors are colors. You should be able to wear those things."
Yeah.
And I am a big fan of Houston, for just doing that, because the NFL is just about no fun. It's the no fun league. Jerry Glanville said that a long time ago when he was the coach of the Houston Oilers.
This reminds me of Lamar Jackson and Troy Aikman fighting over the number 8 for branding
trademarking.
Like,
yeah,
what?
right. Yeah. It's like, where the hell's Cal Ripken here? Buddy, those uniforms are fire, and the city of Houston deserves those uniforms. Yeah, I'm excited to see them wear those again. And they go out and hire Willie Fritz. Patty, see, let's load up the slideshows now, because just look at this resume. Look at this fucking resume.
Nice
He's
record.
he's been a darling of mine. I've been cashing overs on him. A lot of people think Leipold's my guy. Fritz came along first. He's 247 and 121 and 31 years of being a head coach. He's had 8 double-digit win seasons, and a lot of those years there was only 11 games. 2-time national champ, 2-time AAC coach of the year.
They were national runner-ups, right? At Sam Houston State.
No, but he won some. He's won national championships. I think. I don't know if it was Sam Houston, but it was the stop before then in D2.
Okay.
Sun Belt coach of the year.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
2-time Southland coach of the year. Bobby Dodd coach of the year. I mean, any more shit he could pile to the top, to quote Joe Pesci and my cousin Vinny. Big 12 coach of the year coming soon. Buddy, this is a home run hire in my opinion.
That's true. When you've been doing it for that long, when you've had 2 back-to-back championships 30 years ago, back-to-back championship appearances about 15 years or 12 years ago, and then most recently back-to-back
would have been in the playoffs. Would have been in the playoffs.
He keeps getting better. I mean, he keeps matching his accomplishment for each step forward he takes. Pretty impressive. Dude,
he's been coaching, what did I say, 31 years? The man's had 3 losing seasons. All right. And most of that, one of them was when he took over Central Missouri at 97, right?
Yeah.
The other ones were when he took over Tulane, which was a dumpster fire. He had to run the triple option there to get things going. His first couple of years there, going 4-8 and 5-7. Well, no, he had the 2-10 season in 2021, but let's talk about that one.
4 total, still, not that many.
Well, look, no, but I'm saying that the 2021 Tulane couldn't they couldn't practice at their place. They were in Texas that year.
Right.
So that just delete that one from history, because it's like what's going on here?
You don't have access to your practice facilities. Slight disadvantage.
Dude, I'm just convinced that they really got a guy that I think can really take this program. Like, honestly, if I'm the Big 12 if I'm the Big 12, like the best thing you got going is he's only like, I mean, he's a little long in the tooth. He's like 63 or 64 years old. But if he does like, how old is he? I feel like 64. I looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking at like best case scenario, 10, 11 seasons.
Pushing it too. Probably closer to 6 or 7, but maybe towards the back half of that, Houston is, really competitive. But if you're right,
he's going to make them so nasty.
Yeah.
I watched his press conference. So he was at Sam Houston State for a while, right?
Yeah.
He was also at Blinn College with the Buccaneers, which is in Texas as well.
Okay, so
he's got a
serious Texas roots.
Well, he was he's an old high school coach too in Texas at Willis High School. He was an assistant there. He was talking about how he has relationships with all these coaches in Texas and how he's excited to dive back into that. And dude, the shoe fits. It just fits. His OC is Kevin Barbie, I think it is, and DC is Shail Wood. And he, I really love all the hires. I have nothing bad to say about these hires.
Pretty young guys, both of those guys 41. So I guess neither one obviously with any head coaching experience.
Barbie was at App State when they were like last year. He was at Mississippi State. Tough hand to be dealt considering you're switching from the air raid to the which ironically you're kind of doing this year at Houston, but the difference is that you got Willie Fritz on your side.
But that said, Barbie has coordinator experience dating back to 2018, and Wood has coordinator experience dating back to 2020. So there's not, or even further than that, at Wofford all the way back to 2017. So experienced coordinators, those are that counts. You don't want first year guys necessarily when you're making that transition.
Yeah, and I think it's going to work out. We're going to talk more in a second, but want to tell you are listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Make sure to check out this week's featured podcast, the MLB Gambling Podcast, giving you all the picks you need to crush the MLB season. Plus, check out the College Football Experience. This very show, we're knee deep in 134 team previews. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast and the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. All right, back talking Houston Cougar football. Yeah, Shail Wood was with him at Tulane.
Yeah.
They were a top 25 scoring defense a year ago. I think top 40 defense overall.
I mean, just 1 year with him, but that's a valuable year to have for continuity.
Yeah. And they bring over some guys, as we'll see in a second here, but yeah, I'm pretty sold on the hire, man. What would you grade that thing?
I mean, based on Fritz's recent production and I guess over the course of his entire career, you have to give it an A, depending on what your expectations are at Houston. I mean, if your expectation is that you get an Urban Meyer who only has 10-win seasons pretty much throughout his career, then you could, take it down a notch to a B. But if you value consistency and program building, and that's probably what you should value at Houston, then you have to look at this as an A hire. I mean, the guy just did phenomenal things at Tulane.
Dude, like I actually think like you're sitting there, like part of the reason why I think if you're a Big 12 fan, their coaches are really good. I mean, like Leipold, Kleiman, Gundy, and then you add Fritz to the mix, Malzahn, who's won a championship. You got just a really good mix, but I think Fritz could be towards the top of that list. Just give him a little bit of time here. I think the shoe will fit, and I think him being back in Texas is dangerous for the whole Big 12. I think they could be, it could be the team out of all the teams we thought, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, and then the new 4 schools coming in. Maybe it's Utah, but because that program's flying right now. But it could be the Houston Cougars that could be the team to really break through there and make the Big 12 their conference in a way. Am I crazy? Am I crazy?
No, you're
for
not
saying
crazy
that?
at all. I mean, the potential's always been there. Houston's been one of the most talented high school football cities in America for a long time. top 5, maybe 10 at worst. But I remember them being ranked number 3 at one point in terms of football talent coming out of Houston. So if he can put the fence around Houston, hard thing to do when you're a group of 5 team and like an American football conference team. But when you're right there in the Big 12 with the rest of them, I mean, sure, Texas A&M and Texas are going to get first dibs, and probably some of the other SEC teams, but maybe they can start getting some dudes that they would otherwise get away. And, now it's built largely through the transfer portal. So you get a lot of the guys that want to come back home to Houston. That is, there's a lot of potential to get a lot of talent into the door.
And you saw Fritz in his final 2 years at Tulane beat USC. He beat Kansas State at Kansas State with Tulane. Probably would have beat Ole Miss had Michael Pratt not been injured. That was a very
should have beat him anyway. I would say this. I wasn't aware of his past in Texas. I thought it was a very good hire without that. But if you give him a recruiting edge that he didn't have at Tulane, and now he's got that at Texas just to go along with his coaching and development chops, then the potential is through the roof here.
Yeah, agreed. Folks, look, we're going to talk more about it. We're going to go through the offense, defense, special teams, game by game on the schedule. But first, I want to tell you the Houston Cougars 2024 season preview. It's brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy just launched their college football best ball product. What? College football best ball? You better believe we're going to have some episodes talking about that on this very show. First place wins $20,000, folks. Get on over there. Plus, they have the higher lower pick 'em for pick 8, which allows you an opportunity to win 325 times your entry. Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. I mean, how great is that? You can now win specials. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. I know it's the dog days of summer, but I'm playing UFC and MLB and CFL all the time. They got college football and college basketball. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So what are you doing? Take that guesswork out of buying those tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. This works for college football too. I've used Game Time a bunch last season for college football. Terms apply. Once again, create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Feach in here talking trash about this. The program. No, they've had good fans before. I feel like it was just the past couple years that it was down. I'd say
I disagree that the uniforms are super sexy. Uniforms are pretty blah, just a straight red,
Well, no, not when they do the Houston Oilers ones.
Oh, absolutely not. Then they're fire.
Yeah. When you do the Houston Oilers ones, which I think you should just own.
Yeah.
Fuck you, NFL.
Especially
the Oilers are an original AFL team.
That's right. The Titans inviting, obviously Houston Texans having to go to Nashville once a year. This year, the Titans are wearing the Oilers uniforms, the Love You Blue at home. That's a slap in the face. So, yeah.
Disrespect.
Wear those Houston, that Love You Blue all year round, Cougars, I think. But, whether you use it as an alt uniform or your main one, whenever you break it out, it's beautiful. Let me say this about Willie Fritz and the Houston coaching staff in general. Every time they have gone with a guy with Texas roots, they have gotten really good. I mean, Art Brown's got him to 10 wins, and boom, he's gone. Kevin Sumlin got him to 12 wins, boom, he's gone. Herman obviously had 13 and 9 wins in his 2 years.
Too,
yeah. I mean, Applewhite got him up to 8 wins. What happened with Applewhite? Why did he?
They weren't happy with 8. They wanted more.
Gosh. All right, so maybe you got to let the guy develop a little bit. But only 2 years, you pull the plug when he's at 8 wins. God.
You know what it was though is Army dropped 77 on him in a bowl game or something.
That'll happen.
They're like, we got to get rid of it. Let's talk about that. Worst losses since 2000. I personally think it was going into Greenville. They made the mistake.
Roasted.
They made the mistake of going into Greenville. Well, I guess it was a conference game, but 62-20. Bye. But how about they've got their ass? How about these service academies at the bottom here? Navy 56-41, Army, and that was within like a 10-game stretch. Army and Navy.
Well, there was we noticed. We took notice because of this that we believe that Texas schools are ill-equipped to handle the triple option, which is the irony of it is they started playing, the wishbone, which is kind of similar to the triple option out on the plains of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas out there. But they have long since abandoned it to be throwing the ball around the field, and they just can't handle it when those service academies come to town.
Well, that's not going to fly with Fritz because he ran the option for a long time. All right.
That's true.
What is the worst loss there, Patty C?
70-14 against Army is pretty bad.
56-7 at Tulsa.
That's bad. I mean, is there any team though that is just awful? No, I mean, no, not really. They all these teams are at least respectable. There's no Akron on there or anything.
Yeah.
No FCS terrible losses, huh?
No. And they don't play in FCS this year either. Shout out to that. Let's jump in this action. Last season, they were the 88th best scoring off. That's Dana Holgerson. That's supposed to be your game, brother.
Yeah.
88th in scoring per game, 23.7 points per game, 12th best out of 14 in the Big 12 last year. 112th in yards, second to last in the Big 12. 52nd in passing, 8th best in the Big 12. 102nd in rushing, 12th out of 14 in the Big 12 there. And that's what I want to hammer home is because if you follow Willie Fritz, now I know he ran the triple for a long time, but they're always a run first team. Even at Tulane with Pratt, they are a run first team. And I think that's why you should be excited if you're a Houston fan and what they're bringing back also at the running back spot, which we'll talk about in a second here. But
well, it's just a good way to run an offense. Especially if you don't have an elite quarterback or skill position players on the edge, just work with, scheme, work with your line, attack them, run the ball, and then develop your quarterback, take the pressure off him, build his confidence. And then lo and behold, you start throwing the ball around the field and you're very, very dangerous.
Well, let's talk about, they only have 4 returning starters, Patty C. Well, depending on all 3 of their running backs are back. Tony Mathis, the West Virginia transfer, Stacy Sneed, Parker Jenkins, who was a freshman last year, who popped. All 3 back. Donovan Smith, who I feel like has been in college for 20 years too. I think he's, if memory serves me correct, I think he's a 5th or 6th year senior. I'd have to double check that, but look, it's funny. I was on the SGP show and Kramer was saying like, Donovan Smith is, it's a weakness. You got to fade Houston this year. And I go, what? Look, and his basis was that the NFL scouts aren't high on him. I'm like, I get that, but I don't think he's a bad college football quarterback. Do you?
I mean, his stats last year weren't terrible. 22 touchdowns, 13 picks. I mean, they're not great, but 65% completion percentage. And he did that at Texas Tech too, at 66%. So that's actually a pretty respectable. I would say if you're completing 65%, you're a somewhat accurate quarterback. Pretty darn accurate.
Yeah. And to me, I think he under Fritz could really flourish. I really do believe that. Because he will, I think Fritz will run him too. You know what I mean? I think Fritz will be at yards rushing last year.
6'5", 230. That's a pro body.
Yeah. Well, his dad was DeAndre Smith from Texas Tech, who played in the NFL for a little bit, I think. But I tend to think like this is a nice thing that he has coming back. All 3 of his running backs, his quarterback, wide receiver Joseph Manjack, great name. He was a USC transfer. I played him all the time in DFS last year. Dude's a stud. They lost their other wideouts, but I like him. Only 1 back on the offensive line. You could technically say 2, but I think it's one Tank Jenkins. Now get this. He's a 7th-year senior. That's remarkable.
That's old.
He started college football in 2016 or 17, right? 17, and that's incredible.
I believe you have a sound drop for that.
Yes, that's true. Thank you for reminding me.
Well, I don't get. I got brain man cold, but they're counting down 7, 6, 5.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Call me crazy. For 4 returning starters, I'm going to make a case that I think this offense is going to be pretty decent. First, though, I'll talk about what they lost in the portal. The big ones are the wideouts here. Matthew Golden's good. That's why Texas, the Longhorns, came in and stole him. Sam Brown's good. That's why Miami, Florida stole him. But they were not going to be passing the ball a shit ton anyway. Jacoby Banks, 2
of their top 3 receivers from a yardage standpoint.
Sure,
so that does
sure. Tyler, I think the O-line hits were worse to me, of like Tyler Johnson going to Colorado, and Unjay to UCLA, but and I think there was a second page here. Oh, Carson Jones making a smart decision. Finally, like I understand Willie Fritz is great, but you get an opportunity to go play for the East Carolina Pirates, you take that. All right.
Blue blood.
Yeah. Let's talk about what they got. But before I do that, I do want to tell you that the Houston Cougars season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're not checking out the AI picks and props from Rhythm, then you are missing out. They just dominated the British Open, and their college football products about to drop, and they're about to dominate that. You can customize your own betting models easily using Rhythm's tools. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Dollars in guaranteed prizes. Let me just say this. Imagine you enter your shabby little office pool for a few $100s and you win. You're going to regret the fact you didn't enter Circa's, where you can win $16 million. All right. And Circa, Derek Stevens, the owner of Circa, absolute great guy. There's no rake. They're not trying to get you money. All right. They're not trying to steal your money. Yeah, I just stayed at Circa for a week or for 3 or 4 days. Fantastic place. Look, if you don't have your trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football, may I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out. You can hang with Stacking the Money Green and Ryan Real Money Kramer from the Sports Gambling Podcast and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd to August 24th. Sign up in person, by the way, at Circa Sports between now and September 7th. And you can use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. So do that. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride. Patty C, you're concerned on the offensive side of the ball. Just 4 starters back. Fear not.
Well, that's good. Yeah, got some additions coming in.
Fear not, because they're going out. They're grabbing some offensive linemen. Jake Wiley from UCLA, Dakota White from La Tech, Cedric Melton from Ole Miss, Sam Seacrest from the Louisville Cardinals. And then one of the ones I love is the Maliq Carr get from Michigan State at the tight end spot. Keep an eye out for that one. Keep an eye out for that one.
As a starter, 30 catches, 352 yards.
I think they can really. I think Fritz will utilize him even more than Michigan State did. So I'm excited to see that get. My eyes popped when I was a couple weeks or a couple months ago when that news happened. I go, ooh, I like that with Willie Fritz. The receivers. So they have Stephon Johnson, who started some at Oklahoma State. So I think they're going to start him with Manjack. They also have Mekhi Mews, who comes over from. That is, to me, the big one there. He's a home run threat. And
our lads has Shoulders, Malik Shoulders as a starter. He was good for 16 catches for 283 last year. Where'd he come over from? Shoulders and jaw.
Tulsa. He came over from Tulsa. They brought a couple of receivers in from Tulsa. Well,
5'10", 170. He's got to be a burner.
I think it'll be Mews, but we'll see. Because either way, I just think they're in better shape than say. And they brought in a couple wideouts from Tulsa, by the way. They brought in Williams from Tulsa, who had more catches than Shoulders. Williams had 400 yards and like 29 catches. Was their second leading receiver reception wise.
I would say we should probably wait on summer camp to really figure out what the depth chart looks like.
I know Mews was a highly recruited guy, and I think he will be the guy. But we'll see. Either way, might
on to the Georgia team by any means. He's probably pretty good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the offense. Now, of course, you would say, okay, question at the offensive line with all these transfers, but I like what they have from an offensive standpoint, especially at the skill position. Bringing back all three of those running backs, and then Donovan Smith, a very experienced quarterback, with your wideouts being decent and Maliq Carr being a tight end that I think could really be an X factor. I think the offense, pending the offensive line transfers hit, but I'll trust Fritz there. I think the offense might be a little bit better than what people think.
Well, typically when you bring back your top four rushers, that's reason for optimism, at least for your rushing game. But the rushing game was 100. What was it? I'm seeing 104th on.
No, it was horrible.
It was terrible.
That will not be in the hundreds this year. I guarantee
the line not returning. You know, their leading rusher last year only had 464 yards. Donovan Smith, the quarterback, was almost leading rusher with 428. That's not like a high-powered rushing attack. Obviously, that wasn't Holgerson's. You know, it's a completely different thing. Do you think, though, that the system is going to be a little bit of a culture shock to try and instill that rushing mentality, run game mentality?
Probably not. Mathis was at West Virginia with Neil Brown. They're a run first team.
They're a tough squad. Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little, but they're bringing in. If you had more returning starters, I would say yes. Maybe the Donovan Smith, because he's been at Texas Tech and Houston. But who cares? You're the quarterback. Just
I'll say that
to
some extent, as a new coach, just like not having a super veteran roster can be a good thing, because you don't have to unseat people that are expecting to start and, you know, really ruffle some feathers of team chemistry there. You know, you get the chance to make them compete and see who emerges, and that can fast track your progress a little bit.
Yeah. Then we have the defensive side of the ball, which they were horrible last year. 105th in scoring per game. That was second worst in the Big 12. They were second worst in basically all, like, yards, passing. Rush defense was fourth worst though. So there's that.
Respectable.
Yeah. In the Big 12, that is. When I say fourth worst, in the Big 12. But like I said, I like the hire. And guess what? You only returned 2 starters on defense, but they were 2 of the top 3 tacklers from a season ago in Jamal Morris and AJ Halsey. Kicker Jack Martin's back too. Never double cross Jack Martin. He'll kick your ass. But you want to hit the panic button, don't you? You want to say this team is going to be complete ass.
Yes. Looking at that should set off some alarms right there.
Let's jump into it, because they did lose their defensive
They're
line.
Bringing back not only 2 of their starters, 2 of their top 15 tacklers. This is a brand new team. I want to say our lads has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 11 guys on defense projected to start as transfers. So it is a brand new defense, essentially, aside from those 2.
When Fritz took the first job at Tulane, you couldn't do this though, and they were horrible. Now you can just go to the portal, but they lost. The big thing is the D line here. Jamari Caldwell going to Oregon, Chidozie and Nwanku going to Colorado, Hakeem I said that confidently, though, didn't I? I said that confidently. That's the rum talking.
I don't know. By the end of it, you're getting pretty hesitant.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, that's an H, right? He heads off to TCU. Look at these names. Epilepsy
Not confident. Say it with your chest.
Anyway, he's gone. He's at Texas State and San Marcos. Cornerback Isaiah Hamilton goes to Ole Miss too. The rest were kind of backups that jumped around. They
you
also
make mistakes full speed here, Colby.
Yeah,
that's how we do it.
Yeah.
No pussyfooting.
I forgot about Mekhi Harrison Pilot, Texas Tech. He heads out to Tech. My favorite guy, honestly, I'm just gonna say he's the best on this defense. Aaron Willis. All right, heads out to Delaware State. All right, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate you on this list of players here. Buddy, that the D line got absolutely raided, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But they went out and they attacked in the portal. They brought in Keith Cooper, who had a really good year at Tulane last year. I think he had 6 sacks. If memory serves me correct.
5 or 6.
Okay. Yeah. And then Gabe Peterson from New Mexico State, Jerry Kill, Everett Rogers. They just raided this Tulsa team, didn't they? And then in the linebacking core, they brought in Christian Brathwaite from LSU, Michael Bratton from ULM, Kendra Gant from Louisiana, Corey Platt from Tulane in the secondary, Tegan Wilk from ECU. You bastard. Fuck you doing? He's good though. So I like that get. JD Rhyme with Auburn coming over, Jeremiah Wilson from Syracuse. And then don't forget about Kentrell Webb, also from Tulane. He's bringing in some guys from Tulane, Grand Valley State too. Always love it when you grab a Grand Valley State guy. Shout out to them.
I'll say this: between offense and defense, how many Tulane transfers did he bring over?
That's what I'm saying. He brought a good amount. I think
it doesn't look like there's enough. There's 2 on the defense, and then there's 3 on the defense. Okay, how many do we have on the offense?
Who was it on the offense? I got to go all the way back through this shit. None on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, to only bring 3 players over from a pretty darn good Tulane team with them, a little bit surprising. I don't know if that's a Fritz having some character, or if he just did a talent evaluation of the remaining guys on his roster and said, "Hey, none of these guys are worth it." I kind of doubt that.
Well, he did bring in a lot of guys though from the AAC and Sunbelt there, like that. I think he's familiar with.
Yeah. That's true.
So keep an eye out on that. Like bringing in all of Tulsa's roster. He played Tulsa last year. He played ECU last year. You know what I mean? Like, or over the years.
He saw these guys
at Tulane.
Yeah.
Patty C, the win total 3.5. Get out of here.
It'll be pretty uncharacteristic of Willie
Fritz. Plus 1100 to make the Big 12 championship. I did find playoff odds. I didn't when I made this graphic 2 days ago, but plus 100 plus 10,000 to make the playoffs, the 12-team playoff.
Well, when you talk about the last basically 19 years of Houston football, they only have not gotten to 4 wins one time. That was Holgerson's second year there. But this program with or without Fritz that's a slap in their face to say 3.5 wins, and let alone a guy that, like you mentioned, has 4 losing seasons in his last 30 some odd years as a coach. It's very unlikely.
And you look at last year, and they're 4-8, but they lost a double overtime game to Rice. They lost that bullshit game to Texas with the spot. They did beat West Virginia on a Hail Mary, but it should never came down to a Hail Mary. West Virginia converted some crazy touchdown right before that. But 13-point loss to Oklahoma State. who played for the Big 12 championship. 14-point loss to UCF, 10-point loss to Cincinnati. Like they're there. Like they're in the. They're better than their record indicates from last season, in my opinion. So, I haven't even looked at the schedule. Lock it up though. I guarantee you. Willie Fritz wins more than three games.
I mean, I am. A lot of signs point to being reserved about giving them a lot of credit coming in here, but 3.5 just seems so low. If it would have been 4.5, then maybe I'd be like, but 3.5, it seems way low.
Let's look at the schedule. There is no FCS, buddy. I got news for you. They might be 4-1 in September.
Although that's a little bit of a chippy non-conference slate there. Obviously Oklahoma, but even UNLV had a pretty good year playing in the Mountain West Championship game, whether or not they deserved it. Oklahoma obviously is Oklahoma, and then you got to go to Norman. And then Rice was solid, or has been.
Beat them
solid
last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And then EJ Warner's transferring in. So, I mean, you can't be asleep at the wheel at that game. I would say Rice is a very live dog if they are even dogs in that game. You would figure. What do you think the spread on that game is?
Houston minus 3.5, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that wouldn't be that big of an upset.
Yeah. But let me ask you this. Week 1 is UNLV in Houston. Week 2 is at Oklahoma. Week 3 is home to Rice. Well, I mean, Rice is located in Houston. And week 4 is at Cincinnati. Week 5 is home to Iowa State, who plays every game by 3 points. I mean, am I crazy to think that they actually could be 4-1 in September and you cash your ticket?
I think you are crazy.
Really?
I think 3-2 is as good as this team's going to do, because I think Iowa State is going to be
true. But every Iowa State game is a 3-point game, so it's like you can't, like, they lost to Ohio last year. You know what I mean? Like
if it was later in the season, but yeah, you're right. Iowa State is not necessarily going to blow teams out. So all Houston has to do is hang around and maybe the ball bounces in their favor.
Well, no, and another thing is, like, Iowa State gets up for like Oklahoma and Texas. They have a pretty good record against them under Matt Campbell. It's games like this that they lose. Now, I'll still tell you Iowa State's roster is better, and I'll favor Iowa State, but it would not shock me at all if Houston beat Iowa State.
Now, this next game, that's the one that I think they have a shot in, just because Friday
it's night, a nice schedule. Like, I would say in their first 6 games, there's only one automatic loss. But even with that,
I don't know
Fritz
how nice
almost knocked off Oklahoma. Fritz almost knocked off Oklahoma a couple years ago at Tulane.
I think we're going to disagree. I think this is a little bit of a challenging schedule here. I mean, it's not.
I'm talking early on. I'm just saying, like, I don't see many. There's the only flat out loss I would say would be Oklahoma. Like, every other game in the first half is very winnable.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say 3-3 is probably what I have them coming out of the first 4, which means you're pretty darn close to cashing the over right there.
I think you can cash the over in September potentially. Yeah. And then so after the first bye week
last year, and now you got to go to Nippert. But is Cincinnati going to be any good this year? That's hard.
And Holgerson, I mean, I think Fritz is just a much better coach. I got them beating UNLV in the season opener. You?
Yes.
Then I got them losing at Oklahoma. You?
Yes.
I have them beating Rice.
Yep.
And I'll say between Cincinnati and Iowa State, I mean, they'll probably be dogs in both. How about this? Between Cincinnati, Iowa State, and TCU, they win 1.
I agree with that.
And I'm saying, like, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I think they could win 2 or 3.
Absolutely. Right? If they're a little bit ahead of schedule, then yeah, they could catch 2 of those.
That would put me at 3 wins by the first bye week, which is October 11th. Then they head to Kansas, which isn't really Kansas. It's Arrowhead. Still, I think Leipold puts it on Houston because they're just way ahead of them, right?
That's a loss.
This stretch right here is brutal. Home to Utah.
It's a loss.
But I will say Utah does If they trip up, it's on the road in the game that you don't think. Yeah. And home to Kansas State. There should be losses. All three of those should be losses. Then they get their second bye week, and this is where I want to buy stock in. And a lot of first year coaches, to me, when you get to November, I start to buy a little bit of stock. At Arizona is tough, but I still think it's winnable.
Coming out of a bye, do we know what Arizona's got coming into that game? Let me double check that.
Yeah, see if you can pull that one up. But
Arizona comes off a bye too, so that's not super helpful.
Well, they're home to Baylor, and Dave Aranda might be fired by then, so that could be a very winnable game. And then at BYU on the 30th is tricky, but it's still winnable. It's still fucking winnable. You can't tell me BYU is that much better. Yeah.
There's one win in the back half of that schedule, which puts it at 4.
Dude, I think they could get to 6.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable at all. I mean,
I like a best case scenario to me is like 7 or something like that. 7 or 8.
Paint the best case. Yeah. UNLV, Rice, Cincy, Iowa State, TCU. They start off
5-1. And then you get. I think they could win the last 3.
Yeah, maybe.
I think they could win the last 3. I mean, I don't think that'll happen, but I'm saying, like, if you're talking best case scenario, 8 wins.
If they get to 8 wins, then you have to think of Fritz as, a phenomenal coach after that. I think reasonable is 5 if you're being optimistic. I think 4 is probably what you should expect here, and 3 would be a little bit disappointing. And anything below that, obviously, you got to say that was a tough first year.
Hear me out though on this. Besides Oklahoma, I think you could make a case that every game is winnable because Kansas is an Arrowhead that's not on campus, right?
Yeah.
Utah is a weird team on the road. They just have been. Arizona State kind of owned them on the road. Oregon State would take them down often in Corvallis. Now Houston doesn't have.
Seems like likely. Kansas State seems like a likely loss even at home for Houston.
True. Look, I'm still saying they'll probably lose all 3 of those, but it's not like getting 2 of those 3 at home. Just saying, it's the Big 12, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I think the over is a smash play here.
Bowling is possible. Yeah, bowling is possible. I think I don't agree as much that it's a lock for me. It won't be a lock for me, but I do lean 1/2 of a game over. I'm going 4 and 8, probably closer to 5 and 7 than 3 and 9.
But you gotta like that. There's not like a flat out loss besides Oklahoma, right? Like a guaranteed loss.
Yeah, I mean,
if that Utah game was in Salt Lake City, you'd say guaranteed loss. If that Kansas State game was in Manhattan, you would say guaranteed loss. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
you're giving BYU proper credit by making that the 3rd hardest game on the slate.
Well, just because of the environment and how cold it will be, but let's talk about that for a second. Baylor and BYU might not even have their fucking coaches then. Dave Aranda is like number 1 on the hot seat. If you click on an off-season coaching hot seat article, he's number 1 ahead of Billy Napier. Yeah. Guess who's on that list further down? Kalani Sitake.
Now,
so there's a chance.
Sitake as a BYU alum before the year ended. Either way, it might not matter. His team may have quit, by that point in the season. Probably not. He's not. Doesn't seem like the guy that would let his team quit. But you never know. Either way, both of those teams may be demoralized by that point in the season, and Houston can take advantage.
Let me ask you this: what coach has more credit to me than Willie Fritz? Like, what's one where they could be? Because to me, I think from a coaching perspective, he's better than like 80% of the schedule. Now, I think you go Whittingham, Leipold, and Kleiman. I think are the only ones you could argue. And Kleiman, I think, is kind of a wash to me. Yeah. Maybe Matt Campbell. Maybe.
I mean, TCU, Sonny Dykes made it to a national championship. It's hard to discount that as an accomplishment.
He was horrible at Cal. No, I'm not buying into that shit.
That looks like an anomaly on his coaching record at this point.
I would take Willie Fritz over Sonny Dykes 10 out of 10 times as far as coaching.
I would. maybe not 10 out of 10, but I would definitely strongly favor Fritz.
I think Sonny Dykes will be unemployed in 2 years.
Well, we know your opinion on Dykes, so you've made that very clear.
He seems like a nice guy. I just think, and he's a Mike Leach guy. I want to root for him, but they were 5-7, so he kind of took over Patterson's team, which is like one of the best coaches in the past 50 years of college football. Went to the national championship. Yep. I told you what Scotty Wachenheim said, the former Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year in the FCS, who said like Patterson. He projected that too. He was like, "Yeah, Patterson, his eye for talent was so much better than everybody else's." So now that you further remove yourself from them,
I mean, when Patterson had TCU at their very best, they might have been the best team in the country. Like, we'll never know because they were never allowed to compete. But what was it, number 3 TCU versus number 4 Boise in one of those bowl games? So, and then obviously in the 2014 first playoff, TCU gets booted for whatever reason. So, yeah, I think you're right. Sonny Dykes probably did inherit a very good roster there, and I would give Fritz the edge over him as a coach.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so when you talk about that, you're like, man. Now, obviously, he's in year 1. Everyone else is. Is he getting any other first year coaches? No, right? No, Brent Brennan. He's got one first year coach on the schedule. Either way, it's going to be exciting to see. I love the over here. I'd be shocked. Like, to me, Donovan Smith has to get injured or something for this not to hit.
Paint worst case scenario.
Well, I mean, I guess you'd say worst case scenario, like September, your team's just not there yet for what Fritz wants in the transition from air raid to running the ball. But and they lose to UNLV, Oklahoma, Rice, and Cincinnati. I mean, worst case scenario is like 1-11. But just because I think they'll have to get one, whether it's Baylor. Like, I just refuse to believe they would go 0-12. But like worst case scenario, Donovan Smith gets injured. I don't know, at Oklahoma. The QB depth is not there, and Rice beats them. Cincinnati beats them.
You know, I want to look at something real quick, although getting a little slow on the upload here. But I would think the talent composite, even though all we have is last year's, it probably doesn't hold up to this year. But Houston is too high on the talent composite to be a 1-11 team, I would think. Let me I'll get that loaded in just a sec, but
I just think that he's too good of a coach, and like I said, their run game, I actually think the offense has talent, man. When I look at the offense, I'm like Manjack, Johnson, and Mews, the Georgia transfer, the 2 Tulsa wideouts, your tight end Maliq Carr, and your 3 running backs with a super experienced quarterback and Donovan Smith. Now the O line, okay, Fritz is a smart enough coach, I think, to do this. By the way,
49th on the talent composite.
Yeah, I said Fritz will know how to neutralize it too. Like if your O line's horrible, then I think he'll do a lot of option read stuff with Smith and their running backs to try to neutralize the bad offensive line.
That's true. That's what makes a great coach is being able to take advantage, understand the pieces that you have at your disposal, and make your scheme flexible enough to work with what you got.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch the Big 12 this year. I think it's the most. I don't know. I think you can make a case it's the most interesting conference in the country as far as like just every game. You can't tell me that you feel good if you're Iowa State going into Houston on 9/28. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're thinking like, yeah, I think we can win the game. We should win the game, but like, okay.
Well, it's a great argument for parity in general as a concept, but that only exists when you have pretty much a guaranteed place at the table, which the Big 12 does. But you're right. The fact that every team in this league has a legitimate chance to make the playoff, and most likely that will result in a bye into the semifinal or quarterfinals, then all of these football games are super amazing. And anyone who ever said you need a top heavy conference to be entertaining is full of shit, because, you know, as you watch this thing unfold week after week, it's going to keep your attention. It's going to be exciting. And even a team like Houston, if things break right, might find themselves in the conversation at the end of the year.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm on the over. Patty C's on the over. Wear those Houston Oilers uniforms and say fuck the NFL. Say it loud. All right, fuck the NFL. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. Patty C is on Twitter at Patty C831. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. So follow. YouTube.com/the College Experience. Highly recommend watching these ones, as the chat was mentioning before. You got these fire old school logos, Dundee. Yeah, they're up there and they're available for you too, Houston. But let's start with the Oiler uniforms first. But yeah, hop on over there. You can watch all 134 previews. We got another one coming up in just a little bit here, from one Cougar to another Cougar. So buckle up. All right, folks, all the SEC is out there. All the Mountain West is out there. All the Big 10 is out there. We're going through the Big 12. Got a big day scheduled tomorrow for the Big 12 as well. So check that out, folks. Until next time, this is the College Football Experience, Houston Cougar style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.